500 grand on the Chiefs money line.
Another big weekend for Dave Portnoy as he hits on his $500,000 Super Bowl bet with the Chiefs and also announces a new mega deal with Barstool Sports and DraftKings. And now all I'm seeing all over the internet are headlines and videos and stories saying Dave Portnoy, another big win. Dave Portnoy can't lose. And I'm here to tell you just how serious that is. Back in 2002, Dave Portnoy made a deal with the devil. And ever since then has been living off of black magic because it is impossible to have as much good fortune as that guy had. Now, first, let me just start by saying that Dave Portnoy works harder than anybody on the internet. He deserves all of the money and success that he's gotten. He's a great content creator, a great businessman most of the time. I believe in everything he's doing. That's why I hitched my wagon to him. He deserves all of it. But what he doesn't deserve, and what nobody in this world deserves, is the endless avalanche of good fortune that just comes his way and falls into his lap when he needs it most. It begins in 1995. First thing you have to do, step one, apply to the University of Michigan as a nursing student. That way you can kind of circumvent all the other applicants and get in.
So I applied to Michigan. I got a rejection letter from Michigan, but in a weird thing, they put in the letter like, we've rejected you to the liberal arts school, but you've been accepted to the school of nursing. So I went as a nurse.
Step number two, make sure that you are the class of 1999, along with another fella who happened to be the backup quarterback for the Michigan Wolverines. Fast forward a few more years, you have to decide to start to get into Boston sports media at the exact right time that Boston goes on an unprecedented run of success. His classmate Tom Brady all of a sudden decides to become the greatest football player of all time, getting in the game and starting his career only because of a freak injury to Drew Bledsoe.
Bledsoe gonna run it, needs 10 yards. Oh, does he hit?
Starting his dynasty only because of a freak call on the tuck rule.
Blitz. Lost the football.
Reviewing the play, the quarterback's arm was going forward. It is an incomplete pass.
And off we go. We're off to the races. There is now a Boston dynasty right as Dave Portnoy has decided to become a Boston sports blogger. So now you've got to get your newspaper onto the internet. How do you do that? Step one is either you're like a coding genius and a web developer and designer. Dave Portnoy can barely turn on his computer and he mispronounces every single name he's ever said.
I'm not great at pronunciation. That's obvious.
Macho, what's that word? That Macoism?
Macaulay Culkin. They're so misogenic.
Farrell. Is that how they say it, or is it Pharrell? That's what the kids call him nowadays?
The one who left the band and is banging Jiggy Gahad.
You spelled it J-L-O-W-E. That's a little weird.
Yeah.
Like her name was Jennifer Lowe.
Like Rob.
Like Rob Lowe.
I'll be
That's a little ridiculous, even for you.
I'll be honest. I've never understood how to spell her nickname. Is it J-L-O?
Yes!
Lorenzo Ball versus Barkley. Lorenzo's Ball's dad, actually.
So now how is he going to get Barstool on the internet? Oh, I don't know. How about a random fan who says, I'm such a fan of your newspaper, I'll make you a blog for free. And I'm not talking about someone who's just like, let me set up a WordPress for you. I'm talking about Ian White, the co-founder of Sailthrough. He sold his own company for tens of millions of dollars down the road. A genius coder happens to fall out of the sky and say, you know what? I'll make you your website for free. Right around the same time, how about the Boston Red Sox break their 86-year curse and win a World Series? And over the next decade plus, they win 3 more. Oh, how about the Boston Celtics decide to win their first title since the 80s, and they happen to do it against their perfect historical rival, the Los Angeles Lakers.
Anything's possible!
Oh, and then the Boston Bruins, they decide to just throw a Stanley Cup on top, creating the Grand Slam. Boston wins 4 championships in all 4 major sports and goes on to win double-digit titles in the exact period of time that Dave has become a blogger in Boston. Oh, and by the way, the Patriots just happen to be the target of cheating scandals and witch hunts that radicalize the fan base and turn them into a brainwashed cult that need a leader. Guess who that leader is? Dave Portnoy. Which then brings you to things like the luck within the luck. Now we've got the big picture. Dave is off to the races, becoming one of the biggest sports media moguls in the world. But every time he puts a t-shirt on sale, it goes mega viral because he is blessed by the sports gods. For instance, David Ortiz hits a grand slam in the playoffs. Torrey Hunter happens to flip over the wall at Fenway, creating a perfect V shape, along with a security guard in Boston who's cheering with his arms up, another perfect V so that he can spell out V-I-V-A, the slogan of the website, and sell about 1 billion t-shirts saying Viva. Charlie Sheen does an interview on Deadline and happens to just say the phrase, winning.
Wow, winning.
Dave Portnoy throws that on a bright turquoise shirt. Sells 1 billion of them. We're paying the rent off of Charlie Sheen. The things that happen to just fall out of the sky as soon as Dave was starting his empire, it's ridiculous. Now, don't get me wrong. Dave Portnoy has to know what's the right t-shirt and how to put it on sale and how to market it and how to sell it, no doubt. But when Dustin Pedroia decides to say, laser show, relax, out of nowhere.
A couple years ago, I had 60 at-bats. I was hitting 170, and everyone was ready to kill me, too. What happened?
MVP.
Laser show.
It's just a gift from the gods. When Rob Gronkowski says, yo soy fiesta, it's great on a t-shirt.
Tequila, cerveza, un poquito de todo. Tonight to celebrate a little bit, no?
Sí. Yo soy fiesta.
And the cream of the crop, the top of the mountain, when Bob Kraft decides to say,
it's Brady, Belichick, Portnoy. So that's where it is.
In what world should the owner... I'm like Aaron Paul in Breaking Bad when he's cooking for the Nazis. You can't keep getting away with it. Now you've conquered Boston sports. You've expanded it to multiple cities, but money's starting to dry up a little bit. Things are starting to get tight. We're really going to need a Hail Mary if this company's going to work. And what happens to be going on right around that same time is EDM music starts to get popular. Now, why would that matter to a Boston sports blogger? It absolutely shouldn't. But Dave Portnoy makes the call, says, I'm going to buy a pickup truck, I'm going to hire a DJ, and we're going to go around the country and become a traveling techno circus. And I'm sitting here going, what are you talking about? We're a fucking blog, dude. Next thing you know, EDM music explodes, and somehow Barstool Sports, the sports blog, is at the forefront of raves and techno parties. Dave's like, yeah, go to this frat and bring that DJ along with you. What's his name? Avicii? Avicii, DJing the first Blackout tour. Thousands of tickets. And hundreds of thousands of dollars later, Barstool is afloat and flush with cash. But now it's time that you really got to make moves. We really got to become a major player on the internet. You're not going to do that unless somebody buys you a cash infusion, an investment. Where are you going to get that? How are you going to get, I don't know, someone like the Chernin Group, led by Peter Chernin, a Hollywood production company? How in the world would they ever know to invest in Barstool, who's a sports blog and now a techno tour company? Well, how about Jared Lorenzen? Anybody remember him? You probably don't. Rest in peace. May God rest his soul. The hefty lefty, the Pillsbury throw boy. He's an ex-NFL quarterback who one day happens to be on ESPN playing in some sort of fake football league. John Feitelberg, one of the Barstool bloggers, puts up a post about him saying, how funny is this? Jared likes it. He laughs. He gets in contact with us. We become friendly with Jared Lorenzen. And he says, you know what? I know this guy, Mike Kearns, who happens to be an executive at the Chernin Group. You guys should talk. And next thing you know, the big swinging dick at the Cracker Factory, Peter Chernin, decides to invest and buy Barstool Sports for like $20 million and invest all of his money in us. Nothing changes. Everybody gets to do exactly what they want to do. It's just now that Dave is actually rich, not just internet rich, $2 million of internet dollars. He actually is rich now. Oh, and right about now is the time that Dave Portnoy magically drops like 40 pounds. Never exercised in his life, eats like an animal, but all of a sudden sheds an entire person. And yeah, maybe you say, oh, that's a diet and hard work, but then how do you explain that his nose got smaller? Which now brings us to a very important part of the Dave Portnoy saga, is that even when he loses, he wins, okay? Saturdays are for the boys. Ever heard of the phrase? Of course you have, because it became a cultural phenomenon created and popularized by John Feitelberg, the same guy who blogged about Jared Lorenzen. He comes up with the phrase. Dave doesn't get it. He's like, I don't really understand it. I don't think we can monetize it. I don't care about it. You can go do whatever you want on the side, but I don't care about it. Feitelberg puts out the shirts, puts out the merch, continues to make videos. Next thing you know, it pops and becomes the biggest moneymaker Barstool maybe has ever had. Tens of millions of dollars flowing in, international acclaim, heads of state all over the world are saying Saturdays are for the boys. It is the new slogan of Barstool Sports, and it's a thing that Dave didn't even want to do. You know what else he didn't want to do? Podcasts. And I'm not talking about like he didn't want to do my podcast and appear on my podcast. I'm saying he didn't want to do any podcasts. He didn't get it. He said, go do your little hobby on the side, but make sure you keep blogging on our website. Next thing you know, Chernin is like, hey, we want you to be a podcast network. And we become one of the biggest, most powerful juggernauts on the internet in terms of podcasts. The thing he didn't even want to do. He's making more money than he could ever imagine off of it. So now Dave is really rich. He could just sit back, let the register keep ringing, and wait until gambling is legalized in America. That's always been the long play with him and Chernin. They said the day that we legalize gambling, we're going to take over the entire landscape. It'll be like, 10 years down the road, maybe if we're lucky 5. Whoops, nope, for whatever reason, out of the sky, America decides to legalize gambling, and it's off to the races. Dave is now going to get into the actual sportsbook game. Along comes Penn National. They're trying to compete with DraftKings. They're trying to compete with FanDuel, all the top dogs, and they want someone who can market it. And they go to Barstool Sports and Dave Portnoy. They want to buy the company. Now, the first time Dave sold the company, he got swindled. I think they bought it for like $12 million when it should have been like $50. But we always dreamed of maybe one day we could sell the company for $100 million. And Penn comes in at $450 million with kickers that go up to $600. So now Dave is ultra rich. I mean, I'm talking, in his words, quote, unlimited money.
Like, I have unlimited money now. Like, I have unlimited money. It's crazy.
He's one of the only guys to ever actually win at gambling. When Dave Portnoy gets in the arena, Dave Portnoy beats the house. Dave Portnoy becomes the house and somehow makes all of the money in the world off of other people gambling. Dave Portnoy doesn't actually gamble. Gamble implies that there's risk. But when you've made a deal with the devil, there is no risk. There is no gamble. Do you know how lucky Dave Portnoy is when he's gambling? Flashback 10 years ago to a time before everything was legalized and people used to do it, on the low. The guy that Dave owed money to, a hefty amount of money, one day just kicked the bucket and his entire debt was erased. The man has been blessed by the Prince of Evil. When he owes money, it disappears. When he makes money, it's more than he ever imagined. He can't be stopped. So now Dave has hundreds of millions of dollars. He's got his gambling sports book. He's set. But with that comes a lot of headaches. You got to deal with the gambling commissions. You got to deal with all the laws and the lobbyists and that entire headache of the legislation of gambling. You've also got every hater in the world coming out from under every rock. You got hit piece after hit piece after hit piece being written about you. People are lobbing fake charges at you. People are making up stories. They're trying to cancel you. Not one sticks to Dave. He's bobbing and weaving. He's beating the case. He's beating the charges. He's knocking down the haters. He's proving them all wrong. And along the way, he decides this whole thing is such a headache. Neither side wants to do it anymore. Penn decides, you know what? You can just have your company back. And for how much? For free. For free. For $1 goddamn dollar. They give him the $500 million company back for $1 single US dollar. How does that happen? Never in the history of business, probably truly, literally, they're going to write Harvard Business Studies about this. Never in the history of business has anybody bought a company for $500 million and a year later said, things aren't really working out. We're going to go our separate ways. You can have it back for $1. Only Dave Portnoy. Dave maybe didn't make a deal with the devil. He might be the devil himself. There was only one time in history that Dave Portnoy almost lost, and that's when Alex Cooper and Call Her Daddy exploded so much that she had all the leverage and all the negotiating power in that situation. And then what happened? Some quagmire-looking blockhead motherfucker suit man gets in the ear of Alex Cooper's partner, breaks the duo up, blows the whole thing apart, and Alex Cooper stays with Barstool, and Dave still gets to ride the Call Her Daddy magic carpet. It's even when things aren't going to work for him, something happens where he comes out on top. Or how about the time I almost got the company sued for $100 million? I wrote some defamation on the site. We were getting sued. We were going to lose 100%. We're going to lose $100 million lawsuit. We're going to, entire Barstool go down the drain. And it turns out that the guy filed suit wrong, made a clerical error in his paperwork. Boom, case thrown out. It's just like, and that's, it saved my ass. And I'm still sitting here going, how does this guy keep getting away with this? So there it is. That's the saga of Dave Portnoy and how he either sold his soul to the devil or became Lucifer himself. And the question is, when does this deal run out? And I think the answer is never. It's not until he's dead and in the dirt, which I don't even know is maybe not even possible. He might be immortal. So if you're ever wondering, how can I become like Dave Portnoy? Here's the blueprint. Step 1, apply to a reputable school as a nursing major so you get in. Step 2, attend that college at the exact same time as the greatest quarterback that ever lived to play the game. Step 3, have him get drafted to the city that you live in. Step 4, decide to cover Boston sports at the exact same time that all 4 teams win major championships and become known as Title Town. Step 5, have all of the most charismatic athletes in the world use catchphrases constantly that allow you to sell endless t-shirts to make money hand over fist. Step 7, have the entire music industry shift towards electronic dance music, where you decide that we're going to become a traveling techno rave promoter. Step 8, have a Hollywood production company decide to buy you because an ex-NFL backup quarterback happens to like your website and connect you with a friend of his. Step 9, have America legalize gambling. Step 10, sell your entire operation to a casino for $500 million. Step 11, get it back for free. Does that about sum it up? Oh, yeah. And by the way, all of your content is just you eating pizza and saying numbers. There you go. Go be Dave Portnoy.